This
team,
conference will now be recorded.
and once he has that access, what access he has to get clarity, he has to come to security team and he has to ask for access and give the reference id, model user id, that I need access similar to him. Or if he has clarity on already what he has to have, he can ask directly, like, I need that t codes, this t codes. Okay, so he will ask all that. What does the security team does? Security team will seek an approval from his manager. They can't just directly create the uh, user, right, in the system. Okay, every client or every project has its own process, but I'm telling most generic process. Okay, so that will be like most generic process. When I say, normally it will go for the manager, and then once the manager approves, maybe through a email communication. After that, uh, after that again security team, if uh, sorry, after that, what security team has to do? Security team has to uh, see whether there is any further approvals required. Okay, in some cases there will be like further approvals, like maybe if there is any sensitive access, right? So you need to give that sensitive access to him. Maybe you need to take another lead approver, some approvers. Okay, you have to make sure that you have got all the required approvers for that. Once you got that, what will be the next thing you're gonna do? You need to make sure that there is no risk for that user. You don't have grc system, but how do you make sure that comes through the experience? Okay, so now he has got the access. That means approvals and all he has got. Now there is no risk. There is no risk. Everything is fine. Then we'll create that user. Okay, we'll create that user manually, and then we'll set the password, and the password will be communicated to that particular user through email. Okay, so this is a general process. That's it, right? So this is clear, right? This is a general process of user creation anywhere. Now to our, what if GRC is in place? What does it really make differ? So if GRC is in place, we'll uh, we will completely automate this process. For a user who has come, they needs to just fill one form, access access sorry access request form. So once he fills that, he needs to give which roles he needs. Okay, if it is a copy of some other user, so once he gives that, so we would have defined a workflow already. Once he submits that, he doesn't even needs to come to security team. Okay, he just needs to have he just needs to have grc access. Okay, so what we do is, normally in the projects, in by default, okay, whenever someone joins, we'll make sure that we'll give him the grc to request that access, right? There is a form, right? In grc system there is a form again. So by default we'll give that access to everyone who joins into the team, so that they doesn't need to come to security team for that access, so that they already have that grc access. Okay, they just log into grc system and request for any other system access. Okay, so he'll select that access request form and he will submit that. Once submit that, so as we have already have a workflow defined, okay, so that would be sent to the approval as per the workflow. In the workflow, we'll define the stages. What is the first stage? What is the second stage? What is the third stage? It's your wish. So how many stages you want to create, you can create. One stage is nothing but one approval. Okay, so now for that we have an approval. First we'll create the manager. After that manager, approves, automatically the request will be forwarded to the another approver. Okay, and then once that approver also completed, that means request is itself is completed, then automatically GRC itself will create that user in the backend system, and also password also will be generated, and GRC system itself will send the password to the user. And in between, before before sending the approval, it also does the risk analysis automatically, if there is a risk or not. If there is a risk, it will be shown to either manager or the next level approver, whomsoever is approving. It will show that there is a risk here. Okay, so as action item, they can remove that particular role. Okay, for example, there are two roles, and each other they are conflicting. So maybe manager will consider he will give only one role because of risk. Other way is like mitigate. Manager has to mitigate that risk. There should be already, you should have already created one mitigation control ID for that risk with a monitor. So manager will, what does manager do? Manager will try to mitigate if he feels that this guy needs to have that access. Okay, so complete uh, user creation part, identifying the risk and mitigating, and approver, everything will be done without any involvement of security people. So along with that, there will be a log generated for every request. Who has requested, when it was requested, okay, who has approved, when he has approved, okay, what he has mitigated, which risk he has mitigated, which role he has assigned, or which role he has rejected. Okay, all that data would be there in the log for every request. So this helps for the audit. Now in this module, we will see the access request forms. How do we actually, what is that form, how do we actually submit that form, and there are some maintenance activities like, okay, so some administrator activities. For example, uh, the approver is not there, so you need to, that manager is not there, is in leave, so you need to forward to some other people. So how do you forward that? Okay, how do you forward that existing request to someone else? Okay, so how do you delete, cancel that, abort that request, you don't need that anymore. Okay, how do you approve as an administrator? So you can approve as an administrator. So how do you search for all these requests? Okay, these are all some admin activities. We'll look into those, all those admin activities. And also we'll see, as we'll try to approve as role owner, sorry, manager also. We'll try to log in as a manager and see how does what is the approval process, how do we actually approve, okay, where to go and approve that request. So we'll see that as well. Okay, so, and other than that, we will see the workflow as well. So workflow will be a bit complicated, so but I'll I'll try to explain you guys. You can just tell me, okay, you guys are comfortable, then we can just go in deep. Or it's, if you guys feel very complicated, then we'll stop there. Okay. So this is what this module is about. So you guys, have any questions still of what is this module about, ARM?
Yeah, nothing.
Okay, fine. So now we'll just go for seeing SPRO settings. So there are few SPRO settings for this particular module. We'll see what are those. Okay, before getting into, I'll show you guys NWBC first. That will be more easy for you to understand. So we'll see the first access request form. How does that look like? What are there? What are the attributes in that? Again, NWBC same transaction code. I think system is very slow today. Okay, so where do we actually because that we need to go to access management. Okay, so we need to get into access management. There you can see access request creation. Okay, this is a place where you'll create the access request. So there are few like access request creation, model user, template. So you need to understand what is all this. Okay, so first we'll go to access request and see what exactly does it have. Then we'll see model user and what is actually a template based request. All that we'll see. Okay, guys, this is how the access request form looks like. First one, you guys able to see my screen, right?
Yes, no.
Okay,
Yeah, yes,
fine.
still.
Yep. So here is a description and the request for the reason. So you need to give why do you requesting this form? So a new member, as a new member you have joined, so you need some additional access. Why do you need additional access? That is just a reason. Okay. So now here request type. This is important, guys. So now I'll just open Paint and I'll try to. So these are the next things we need to understand in deep, so that's the reason I was just making a note of it. Request type, here you can see uh, what type of request is this. So change new account, change account, delete account, lock, unlock, super user access information. So leave all this, super user leave. Okay, so that we'll discuss in the firefighter thing. Okay, so whether you need to create a new account or change the existing account, delete, lock, unlock. So what kind of request is this, what type? Okay, so you need to first give that. And this is our wish, guys. If you want to delete something, you can delete. You can create something, you can create. All that can be possible. All that can be possible from SPRO. Okay, for example, you don't need this information. What is this information? I don't know. Someone has created, so I don't want this, so I can just delete this, and I can have another one. Okay, so if you want another one, I can just create the another request type. Okay, how to create all that, we'll see all that in SPRO. Okay, so and then request for whom you are requesting. Self, other, multiple. Self means you are requesting for yourself. Other means you are raising this access request behalf of someone else. Okay, so and then multiple. Multiple means you can select multiple users also at a time. If there are some 10 users who need some access, okay, you can just select all the 10 users and submit that form. Okay, so now that works that way as well. You can just create multiple users as well. Okay, that you need to give. As it is self, it is showing my ID. If I click on other, sorry, yeah, click on other, now it will ask for which user I want to create. You can see now you got the user option. Okay, so you can just give whatever user you want to. So I'm just clicking on self, and then you can see like priority. Priority is like so this is a low priority request, high priority request, okay, medium priority request, like that. Okay, so again, this can be deleted or created. Someone has created two highs. Okay, so that can be created in the backend from SPRO. And here you can see this is not a mandatory field as well. So these four are mandatory fields: request type, request for, user, and business process, and description as well. So all these are mandatory fields, others are not mandatory fields. Business process, so you need to select which business process you belongs to. Functional area, also you need to select. So it depends on each of the client how they use the business process and functional area. So I have seen people using business process uh, for what team they belong to, and functional area belongs to region, like that, same as this. So and some projects I have seen that business process, they just fill the country and which country they belongs to. Functional area, they set the which team they belong to, like that. So it can be used all this business process and functional area also. We can only create all this in the backend system. I'll show you guys how to do that as well. So whatever you are seeing in the drop down, these are all which someone has created in the backend system from SPRO. Okay, if they are created there only, then you will be able to see it here. Okay, due date, if you want to give a due date, you can give the due date. Okay, due date is nothing but before that date this request has to be completed. So is this clear, guys? What are these are the request attributes. Okay, we call this as request attributes: request for, request type, priority, business area. Is this clear?
Yes, Sridhar.
Yeah, what?
I'm sorry, guys, 1 minute. Okay, now we are getting into each tabs now. Okay, so now first one is user access. User access, uh, here only actually we will add roles into the access request. How do we actually add the roles? Here there is something called add. If you click on add, there is role and system. You can add a role or you can add the system. Okay, now if you want to create a user, what is ideally, what does it means first you need to uh, select the system. Okay, for example, and system, when I say system, these are all the connectors which we have created. So this is connector which I have created, right? So this, okay. Okay, this is how it looks. If you want to add the role, you need to select which system you want to add a role. I have clicked on the role, guys. Before that I have clicked on the system, so sorry for that confusion. So now I have clicked on the role. So you need to assign some roles to the user maybe. So you need to give the system. So which system, role types, technical role, business role, composite role. So what kind of role you want to give. So you need to just give that role name and search. If you search, you'll get the role name. So you need to get that into here, select that and click on this down arrow and click on OK. And then that role will be added into the access request. Okay, so now one important thing here is, if you want, so which system role is that, which the role I am selecting here, that role is available in which system? For example, I want to assign some roles in ECC system. Okay, so I will give the ECC system here and select the role. So now whatever the role is getting displayed here, all those roles belongs to which system now?
ECC system.
ECC system, right? So for all that roles to get pulled here, you need to run the sync job. If you are not running the sync job, right, you can't see all those roles again. Which sync job you need to run? You need to run the
Repository.
repository object sync.
Repository.
Okay, so you need to run the repository object sync. If you are running repository object sync, then you will able to see all those roles here. Okay, now you can select whatever role you want. Okay, so for example, let's see, as we have already created, we have ran the repository sync job. I'll select the system. ID 7 star. This is my system. I'll just select G star demo star. So I don't know the correct role name, so I'm just giving G star demo star. Okay, it's not coming up. Okay, that is the reason for this. So I'll come back to this reason why it's not showing up later. But for now, you guys need to understand that, okay, there is a form. This is how we need to add the roles. Why we haven't got the roles? There are a few more activities which we need to do. So after that, completing that activities, then only we'll be able to see the roles here. Okay, so I'll tell you guys what are those steps. So maybe in later classes, not now. So now we'll just try to understand the screens, what are the different fields are there. Okay, so the next session, next classes, we'll try to get into deeper in the technical things. Okay, so this is how we need to add a role. And once you add a role, here you can see valid from and valid to. This you can give it here. So you want to give an expiry of for that role. Maybe that role uh, only for 3 months you want to give that role. So you can just give valid from today date and valid to after 3 months date. Okay. Now there is something here, assignment approver. Every role can have an assignment approver. That means a owner for that role. Okay, so every role can have a owner. It's not a mandatory, guys. For if you want to have, you can have. If you have defined a owner for that role already, okay, how to define that owner for that role, that we will see in BRM. Okay, business role management module. That is all about roles, right? So we'll see there. Okay, so so like that we'll have the assignment approver also. And then the description is nothing but the role description. Then provisioning enabled, provisioning status, and provisioning action. So we'll come to these three in later. Okay, now the next thing is risk violation. Sorry, next thing is add system also. So in the same way you can add system as well, guys. So if you're adding a role, right, so in the same way you can add the system also. In system also, valid from valid to will be there. That means that is the user validity, not the role validity. If you are selecting the system, for example, if you want to change the validity of the user itself, okay, and then for that what you have to do is you need to select the system and change the validity. Is that clear? Okay,
Yes, Trilo.
now I'll show you guys the system. For example, guys, I have to create some user in this system I have to create the user. I think there is some problem with system. I think it's taking so much time. Mhm. Okay. Okay, fine. Add in a system. If I add a system, right, that system will be displayed here, and valid from valid to, all this will be empty. Okay, so all that will be empty. So you can give the valid from valid to, and then existing assignments. If you click on existing assignments, guys, so that will show you guys what are already existing roles for that user in that system. For example, GRC is connected to 10 systems. You want to know in one system what is the roles this guy is already having. So you click on existing assignments, you can see all the roles already existing for that user. Based on that, you can just add or remove. Okay, so one more important thing here is provisioning action. Okay, provisioning action, this is the place where you need to give the action. For example, if you want to remove a role for a user, okay, not adding, removing. So once you select the role, okay, so here the provisioning action you need to give, whether you need to assign that role or remove that role. So you need to give that provisioning action for that particular role. Okay, now we'll see with examples once we have all the configuration set up. Okay, as we have not done all the configuration setup here, so you'll not be able to add role right now. So but eventually we'll see all this. But for now you need to understand, okay, what is the fields and what is the use of this. Okay, so now provisioning action is clear. So that is like assign the role or remove the role. So what is the action, okay, that can be given there. These are existing assignments. Import roles, for example, there are some 10 roles you want to add. Okay, so you click on add, and one by one you need to give the role, right? So instead of that, you can make a text file, and you can just import that all the 10 roles. Okay, if you click on import roles, it will ask for the file name. You can just give the 10 text file which you have already, and automatically all the 10 roles will be getting into this form. Okay, simulation is nothing but you can run the risk analysis. I'm sorry, what if this role is assigned to that user? Does it have any does it have any risks? The same thing is the next tab, guys. Risk violations. Here you can see the same screen, risk analysis screen. If you run the risk analysis, right, what happens is it will run the risk analysis. You should give the system. Once you select the system in the before tab, right, automatically system also will come up here. Okay, so now if you run the risk analysis, what happens? It will run the risk analysis for that particular user for all the existing roles, adding the this role as well. Okay, then it will run the risk analysis like a simulation again. Okay, if you want to, what happens if you add this role to that user? Any new risk will come or not? That we will check here. Okay, so if it is coming up, you'll act accordingly. Okay, Is this clear? And then attachments. If there is any attachments, you can just attach it here. Then user details. Here you will give all the user details. For example, if you are creating a user in SU01, right? So what are the different fields in SU01? All that will be here, guys. So all that will be here. Okay, first name, last name, employee type. Employee type, it's not a mandatory. So here first name and last name is the mandatory, and email is a mandatory fields. Okay, so all that again. So which field is mandatory, which field is not mandatory? Maybe I don't need some fields here. I need to customize myself. All that we'll see. So how do we actually modify this form? So all that also we'll see in the coming classes. Okay, I don't want, for example, I don't want fax, I don't want telephone, I don't want these fields, so I'll just want to remove that fields in this form. So we'll see all that for now. So by default we'll have all these fields, guys. These are all the fields which are there in SU01, and there are few other fields which are not there as well. For example, like manager, you need to give the manager. So what is a manager? Okay, who is your manager? In most of the projects, guys, in the real time, you will not give manager yourself here. GRC system will be connected to Active Directory, okay, or LDAP. So these are the new terms which you wanna, maybe I'm not sure whether you have heard or not. So every system will have a Active Directory. Sorry, every company will have a Active Directory, guys. So Active Directory will have all the employee details, employee name, personal details, okay, who is the manager, with whom is reporting to, which org he belongs to, which is the cost center. Okay, so every detail will be stored in Active Directory. Okay, in the same way you have connected GRC to ECC, right? In the same way, basis people will help us to connect GRC to the Active Directory. So Active Directory, we can connect to Active Directory also. In that case, what we do is, okay, so this manager is configured in such a way that if Active Directory is configured, so automatically once you give the user, manager will be automatically pulled from the Active Directory. Okay, that's how it will be there in the real time. So that, and this will be a non-editable field. Okay, so you can't even change that field. That's how it will be it will be in the real time. Okay, now you will just give all the other SNC name also. So these are all the fields in SU01, you just give. Okay, and then parameters, if you guys remember, we have parameters field tab also in SU01. If you want to give some parameter value, you can just give that parameters. And user groups, we have user groups tab also, right? So you can just give as many as user groups here. All that user groups will be in that SU01 when system is getting created. User system details. Here again there is another user group. This user group is in logon data user group. Okay, so whichever is in logon data, that user group is this one. And custom data, you just remove it. There will be nothing here. If you want to create a new field in this form, you need to go for this. So that needs again help from ABAP people. They need to code for a new field. Okay, so this is a user request form, guys. Once you submit this form, then automatically if you have workflow setup, right, it will be automatically sent to the approver. Okay, whomsoever the approver is, that particular request will be sent to that approver. Okay, this is a complete form and the attributes. Are there any questions, guys? Is this clear?
Yes, Trilok.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So as this is the form, now we'll go back to SPRO. Okay, this is SPRO. I am in access control, and in that I'm getting into user provisioning, guys. User provisioning. Okay, so first one, generate BRF plus, leave that. Maintain settings for HR triggers, leave that. maintain service level agreement, leave that. Now here there is something called define request type. If you execute, here you can see all the request types which you have seen in the form. You have seen in the form, right? New user, delete user, change user, lock user, unlock user. All that request types are created here in this particular screen. If you want to modify something, you can just modify them here. If you want to delete the existing request type, if you want to create a new request type, you can just okay, this is taking some time now. So in the same way, here you can see before that, below that you can see maintain priority configuration. If you guys remember, we have seen the priority also in the access request form: high priority, low priority, medium priority. That you can okay, we got it. See here we have a new account, new new account, change account, delete, lock user, lock, unlock, re-affirm, SOD review, all that there, right? So for that, there is again MSMP process ID. So there is the process IDs. Okay, now what is a process ID? So I will just come back to this again later. So there is an action here. What is this action? Again, I'll come back to this later. Okay, so for now, you just remember that this is a place where you can have the request types created, and maybe you'll have another question as well. Here there are so many, but there I am able to see only few. Okay, I'm not able to see all this right there in the drop down. So we are able to see only few. Why we are able to see only that few? That answer also you'll get later. Okay, now maintain priority configuration. Maintain priority configuration again, guys. You can just give high, medium, low. You can just create whatsoever. If you want to create something like uh, see, there are so many high, low, medium. Those guys have created so many. You can just delete that, delete all this, and create a new one. So all your new one will be appeared there. Define employee type. Employee type, if you must have seen, so in user details, here you can see there is something called employee type. If it is a full-time employer or contractor, like that. Okay, you can just, so in that drop down, if it has to appear that, you have to give it here. Okay, see, they are given two, right? That's the reason they are coming two there. You can just add or delete. And this is important. So maintain number range for the intervals for provisioning request and define number range for the provisioning request. Now, every time you submit that request, guys, right? So there will be a number generated for that request. Okay, so for example, some number will be generated. Okay, every request will have a number generated. That number range can be defined here. Uh, for example, in our company, the number starts with 1000. So there was no request before 1000. The first request will start with 1000 and the next 1000, 1000, 2000, 3, like that it will go. So for that I can just define the number range here. So if you're not defining any number range, right, it will start with one request number one, request number two, like that it will start. So few clients don't like that request number one two, right? So maybe they will start with 1000 or 10,000 or 100, like that they'll start with that number. So if you want to start the first request itself from some number, so you need to just create here, you need to select the object. Okay, more than 500. Okay, GRAC star. So GRAC request number, there is something called GRAC request number, right? So this is a just click on display. Let's see what is there in this, if they have already defined something. Okay, so GRC access request customizing. Okay, so now this is there, right? I'll just copy this, go back, and there is define number range for the provisioning request. Okay, so click on that. Okay, new entry. Here you can see number one. It starts with number one itself. Okay, so GRSC request number. So this, we want select change. Okay, this entry is already exists, right? So it's already exist, you can't change it. So if you want to change this, right, you can just change and give the number here. For now it starts with one, right? So if you want to make it as 1000 to all lines, so then it will start from 1000. The first request will be 1000, 1001, like that. Okay, that's how you need to give the number range here. Go back and maintain end user personalization. So this is a place where I have told you guys, right? So if you want to hide these fields or remove these fields, for example, I don't want these many fields. Okay, so I like to hide these fields and I want to make manager as mandatory. Okay, so I can do all that in this field, in this end user personalization. I need to select the default one. So again, guys, we can create our own EUP ID as well. So that I will discuss it later. Okay, by default this will be there, 999. Okay, so 999, I am clicking on 999 now and maintain EUP fields. Here you can see all the fields, guys. So for example, you can just modify this. For example, I want, as I said, I want manager as mandatory, right? So here somewhere there will be manager. Where is manager? Here there is manager, right? So what I'll do is it's a mandatory no. So I'll make it as mandatory yes. Editable. If you want to editable, yes or no. For example, I told you in the real time, this manager will be automatically pulled, right? So that should not be changed. If you give them a chance to change the manager, right? So they'll change whatsoever who whomsoever manager they can just give, and the approval go to them. So I'll make this field as editable no. If I give editable no, right, it then users can't edit it like that, visible or not. So I don't want some fields. Okay, so I don't want location. So I don't want location. I'll make it as no. It won't be visible. See if what are the changes we have done. Let's see. Like, so manager, it is not a mandatory field now. I have made that as mandatory, and I have made that as non-editable also. Okay, and location. So here you can see location field is there. So I have made it as invisible. So I'll just save this. Mandatory field should be editable and visible. Okay, fine. That's just a warning. So this will ask for transport again. So because all this, everything is transportable, we should not do all this directly in the production system. So when you're saving it, so it will ask for transport request. Okay, there is no transport. I'll just create one. I'll give us rmtr save. Click on this. Choose a valid line. Select this and click on this. Okay, data saved. Now I'll close this and I'll reopen this again. Then you can see the changes. I'll click on the access request creation again. Now I'll go to user details. See here you can see now. You can see the manager. What happened to the manager? Manager is a mandatory field, and I can't give. Manager has become non-editable. I can't give anything here, and you can see location is gone. So all these changes can be done from that EUP. Okay, so what do we actually, when do we actually create a new EUP? All that we'll see later. Okay, I'm just giving a brief intro to the module, guys. What does actually this module has, all that. Okay, contribute attributes, maintain user provisioning, maintain user defaults, review rejection reasons, password self-service, UA, IDM, activate end user logon, simplified access request, and Fiori access request. So all this as of now, I don't want to discuss all this. We'll discuss in the right time. Okay, so for now, so I just wanted to give a brief on that access request form. Okay, so uh, I I don't want to spend much time because this is just a intro. Okay, okay guys, that's it for today. So this was just an intro class. Okay, from tomorrow we'll get into more detail. Okay, so I'll go one by one, step by step. So and then I'll tell you guys, ARM complexity is huge. Okay, for example, how much the complexity you need, that much complexity will be there. Okay, so there will be like different scenarios in the real time, different requirements. Okay, how much the complicated is the requirement, that much complicated ARM becomes. I have given you a simple example. Okay, so the workflow should go to the simple a manager and that some approver, role owner, and then get it done. That's it. Okay, that is done. So generally, there are few clients they have the complicated workflows, guys. For example, only for that country, only for that team, it should go to someone. Only for that country, this team, this should go to someone else. Like that, they'll just complicate that workflow. Like whatsoever possible ways, they just complicate. If they are complicating in that such a way, so ARM that workflow defining the also will be like super complicated, and we will need to take the ABAPer help. Okay, so we are not that getting into that complicated scenarios, but we'll at least try to understand a very simple scenario where it goes to manager and there is another level. Okay, two-stage approver, let's see. So we'll take that example and see that. Okay, so that itself is complicated basically. Okay, a simple example itself is complicated, but I'll try to explain you guys as simpler as possible. But again, guys, so this workflow definition, workflow creation, this is all one time process. Okay, that is all implementation. Before implementation, you need to understand the support activities, then we'll go for implementation. Okay, first basic things. So this access request form, how to fill. So you are not able to see that roles, right? Why I'm not able to see that roles? So what exactly that has to be done, and how to forward that request. So and you have seen that UPIDs, right? So what why we need to create a new UPIDs? Okay, so what is this template management? Okay, so what is this template based request? What is that? So in access request administration, there is template management, search request, so admin delegation. So what are all these? So we'll see all this. Okay, so and then we'll see few more things here in IMG. Here we have a few more things. So we have user defaults. What are these maintain provisioning settings? Okay, so what is password self service? Okay, so all these things we'll see after that. Okay, so once you are comfortable with all these basic things means what you guys gonna do daily in the office. After that, then we'll see the workflow. Okay, so what is that workflow? How do we define that workflow? How do we actually configure that workflow? That is all that for sure you won't be doing that in daily. Okay, that is I can say that that is like a rule set in the ARA that will be done for the first time, and if there is any change you will do that, but you won't do that daily, right? So now and then, maybe once in a while, you'll do that. In the same way, workflow configuration also will be already done. If it is a already existing project, right, it would have been already done. What you guys will be doing, only these things which I gonna tell you for next 2-3 days. After that, I'll tell you workflow also, I'll explain you. Okay, but you guys have you guys just let me know. Uh, you you you, con- you guys concentrate on this part first, 2-3 days part. Okay, then workflow, then slowly you can get that into your head. But before that, I suggest you guys to be clear on this simple basic things. Okay, fine. So now, as you guys have asked me for assignment, let's do one thing. So I'll just give one simple start with simple assignment, guys. So I'll just make a note of this. I'm just creating a new folder, guys, here. Sorry, no need of new folder. I'll just create a new Word file. I'll just today's date. So I'll just start with one simple uh, assignment. So you need to create a new rule set which is a copy of global rule set. That's it. This is assignment. Only one activity. Okay. The thing is, you need to create a new rule set, guys. You need to create a new rule set which is a copy of global rule set. Global rule set is already SAP has delivered you guys. So this is a real-time activity. But as I said, so these are all will be done only one time, guys. If it is really a implementation project, then you guys will be doing all this. But here, anyway, we can do that, right? So you guys, you have to think in such a way that there is a global rule set already. SAP has delivered you guys. What does rule set will have? Rule set is assigned to risks, right? So now what I need to have is that global rule set is already assigned to some 300 risks. Okay, I want you guys to create one rule set which is a copy of that global rule set. Means if there are some 300 risks assigned to that global rule set, all that 300 should be assigned to my rule set as well. Okay, how do you do this? How do you do this actually?
Just copy all this. Hello.
Yep.
Just copy all those risk associated in that global rule set.
How do you copy that? I need step by step.
First, I'll check what are the risk available in this global rule set.
How do you check that?
I'll go to the risk ID. First, I'll check what is the risk ID in this global rule set.
How do you check that?
Same in ARA, in setup option.
Okay.
There in rule ID is the first option. There I'll search in F4 global rule set.
Okay.
Just open it. Just from that I'll take the risk ID associated in this global rule set.
Okay, so wait. So you are saying that rule set here? This doesn't have any risks here. We will not assign.
This is only this is only the description we can.
So here we can't see any risks. So what are the risks assigned to this rule set? You
Only the
can see it
description
here.
will be there. Whatever.
Yes. Only the description. Here there is a
We
global
can
rule
see.
set. Only global. So what are the risks
Yes.
associated with this?
In risk ID we can check it.
Risk ID, there are some 500 risks. Okay, so among these 500 risks, which are all assigned to global rule set, I need to open each one and see. Right?
No, we can filter with global rule set.
So where is the rule set here? So there is no
No,
rule
we can
set
filter
here.
it. We can filter it. No?
So you are saying that. So I'm not able to get what you are trying to say.
No,
How do you
here
filter? We don't have option at all here.
here in column selection, fourth option filter.
Yeah, that there should be a rule set already in the columns to filter, right? Where is that rule set? That rule set itself is not there. You guys, you getting?
In filter, if we
Okay, so tell me. In filter, if I go to filter.
okay, filter, add attribute, like scroll it down.
See, rule set is not there. Rule set won't be there here.
Okay, in function actually, in F4 if we check it, we'll get all the rule sets. What are the available rule sets?
Where
When we are generating rules, when we are generating rules,
generating rules.
I
Okay.
will do.
I'm
We'll do it. We'll do it. Look, once I just go and I just check
okay.
everything, I can get it. Not a
Okay.
problem.
Okay. Fine. So you guys try. I'll just
We'll
give a
try it.
hint for you guys. Hint for you guys
Yeah, please.
that the the way you do, there might be ways to do in NWBC as well. Maybe. Okay. I'm not telling you there is a way or there is not a way. You guys figure it out if you want. Okay. But a simple way is from the back end. That's the hint I can give. Directly
Yeah,
doing from
Trilok.
the back end. Okay. So now you guys
Yeah,
try. That
yes.
is a hint I gonna give. Simple way that this is also a way. There is a way that is like I'll take like 3-4 hours to complete that task. Okay. There are some 300 risks. Okay, so I have to identify the risk, I have to get that, and I have to assign that each risk to the new rule set. All that can be done, but it will take me some 3-4 hours of time. Okay, if I go by the backend, I can complete in 3-4 minutes. Okay, you need to figure out how to do that.
Oh,
Your question is clear,
okay,
right?
done, Trilok. Ah, yes, Trilok. It's clear.
Okay, fine. So any questions, other guys?
Nothing.
Okay, fine.
We'll
So
do.
you just try to complete this task today itself. Tomorrow we'll continue ARM, and also we'll discuss about this as well. Okay, fine,
Trilok,
guys.
whatever
Yeah.
whatever the options or whatever the attributes we are using in ARA, this application.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to use, we need to configure that in SPRO according. All those menus, all the settings we need to do, na? If we want to
Which settings?
use each attribute or
We are
we are
talking about
doing in
which module?
SPRO, na? Any module, whether it is ARA module, whether it is ARM module, all the
ARA,
related attributes.
ARA, we have nothing to do in SPRO settings. And that's the reason I have not discussed anything. ARA has nothing. ARA,
I mean,
mm-hmm.
in in AC we are running this, no? Like
AC means?
like minimal settings. At least if we do these settings only, we'll be able to use that
Yeah, yeah,
application, right?
yeah,
Uh,
right. So that whatever things I have explaining, guys. So those are the settings, minimum settings.
so this is the option where all these settings will be done for using that application,
Yes, complete
right? TSP
GRC. We are setting the configuration here only in SPRO itself.
in SPRO, yes, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Okay, guys. Okay, guys. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.